The moment my life changed didn't happen in a boardroom or a classroom. It happened on the cold Toronto street corner where I sold newspapers to strangers who wouldn't even meet my eyes. That's where I first learned that life doesn't ask politely, it demands answers. Not what do you do, but who will you be when the plans fall apart? Not what did you achieve, but what do you stand for when no one else is watching? Long before I built anything in the digital world, before I even knew what digital meant, there was a story in my family that helped shape how I see purpose and how I see the power in each of us to change the world around us. But before we go there, let me take you to Karachi, Pakistan, decades ago. At a world fair, bright lights, food smells that would make your diet cry, and the sounds of Bollywood music in the background. High up on the pedestal was a car, covered in stickers from everywhere it had been around the world. My father, 8 years old, stood there staring at it in awe. As he tugged my grandfather's sleeve, he asked, "Has this car really been all over the world?" "Yes," my grandfather replied, "it has." Then my dad asked a question so honest only a child could ask. "How is it that the car has been all over the world, but we people struggle to see the next village?" My grandfather smiled. He said, "If you want to see the world, choose a path that gives you wings." Those lines became our family philosophy. You see, my father came from deep poverty. He studied under the train station lights, yet still, he earned his wings. He became an aeronautical engineer. Years later, when he told me this story, I realized something. Wings are not given. Wings are built. They're built through struggle, curiosity, and imagination. And some foolish ideas along the way. For me, those foolish ideas started very early. See, when I was 5 years old, I had my first startup. I sold my own teeth. Yes, my teeth. In my house, the tooth fairy was very generous, but not very organized. She would often leave the tooth under the pillow and the money. So one day, I was like, "Hey, I've got inventory." I took my tooth to school the next day. I put it on a table like jewels. And I said, "For $1, you can take this tooth home, slide it under your pillow, the tooth fairy will think it's yours, and voila, you make money." It was brilliant. My first business, no investors, no business plan, and a flawed supply chain. And it was shut down by recess. But in that moment, I learned something. Purpose doesn't begin with answers. It begins with the courage to try. It begins with the curiosity to ask, what if? That curiosity followed me into adulthood. I studied cities. I wanted to build better ones. Greener, safer, more human. As a kid, I was obsessed with SimCity, where you could build any street, park, or skyline. I loved the sense of control. But the thing is that that's a game. What if we could use these technologies or use these games to build a better city or smarter city, right? And then came 2008. The recession hit. Jobs vanished faster than my tooth business. And there I was, a degree in one hand, but nothing to step into. If you've ever seen your plans collapse, you'll know the silence that follows. In that silence, I learned when the path disappears, the vision begins. So I stopped waiting for someone to open the door, and I started building it myself, plank by plank, failure by failure. I packed 2 bags, and I moved from Montreal to Toronto. And there I was, not building cities, selling newspapers. Cold mornings, strangers rushing past, hands feeling numb, pride being tested. Every day I reminded myself, wings are built in weather, not in comfort. And then one day everything changed. A close friend of mine was walking to work and a 2-ton steel plate fell from a construction site. He never made it home. He wasn't a headline. He wasn't a statistic. He was someone I laughed with. He was someone who had plans. He had dreams. And a family waiting for him at home. That day, I stopped thinking about smart cities. And I started thinking about safer cities. And suddenly, everything I had studied, urban planning, data, design, meant something bigger. What if the logic of a simple game like SimCity can help save real lives in the real world? What if we can use digital technologies to make these safer cities that we're talking about? That became my obsession. We build digital twins. Living, breathing, data-driven models of the real world. Cities, buildings, entire nations. And we do this, even though it started as a game, it became something bigger. The goal is to prevent accidents before they happen, because we all deserve to live. So people think my work is about technology. They see sensors, they see AI, they see data. But that's not what drives me. I realize what we're truly building is time. Time for a worker to make it home safe because an alert saved him. Time for a commuter to avoid an accident because data predicted it. Time for a family to hold on to a loved one a little longer. Because that's what innovation should do. Give humanity back its most important resource, time. Progress is not about speed or scale anymore. It's about how much life we can give back. And once we start understanding that, success changes. Because technology, as we all know, is only ever a tool. The real innovation is now perspective. My work didn't begin with data. As you all now know, it began with grief. And with the realization that the greatest thing any leader can do is imagine the lives they may never live in and protect the futures they may never see. It's not the headlines or the funding rounds. It's the tragedies that were prevented and the people that made it home safe. And years later, I found myself back on those same streets. The buildings were still the same. I changed. What once felt like a struggle now felt like preparation. To become someone that builds so others don't break. over the last 15 years in my career, there's some truths I've understood. Purpose before applause. If you chase attention, you lose direction. But if you chase meaning, you never walk alone. Failure is not a wall. Every no is a deposit into your resilience account. Lead with humanity. Behind every number, every sensor, every innovation is a heartbeat. If we forget that, we've built nothing. Curiosity is oxygen. It's what keeps possibility alive. The world didn't change because someone had all the answers. It changed because someone wondered, how can I do it differently? So let's come back to that little boy at the World Fair in Karachi, staring at the car covered in stickers, imagining a life better than the one he saw. He earned his wings. His story helped me build mine. Not wings of steel or metal, but wings of vision. My experience has taught me this. Leadership is not about being in the spotlight. It's about keeping your light steady when no one else is watching. So tonight, I don't ask you what title you want. I don't ask you what success looks like. That's temporary. I ask you something simpler. What are your wings made of? What belief, what grief, what spark will help you carry beyond where you stand today? And will you build a world where others can fly too? Thank you.